Viktor Frankl is most often quoted as a philosopher of freedom. His most famous line, that between stimulus and response there is a space, and in that space lies our freedom, has become something of a modern mantra, repeated in therapy offices, business books, and motivational speeches. And it is true. Frankl placed enormous emphasis on the irreducible human capacity for self-determination, for choosing one's attitude, for finding meaning even in the most constrained circumstances. But Frankl was equally serious about the other half of the picture, about fate. And his treatment of fate is often overlooked in the popular reception of his work. Fate, in Frankl's vocabulary, refers to everything that is given to us rather than chosen. It includes our biological constitution, our early childhood circumstances, the historical moment into which we were born, the illnesses that come to us, the losses we suffer, the deaths that inevitably await us. These things are not our fault and not our choice. They are the conditions of existence, the given within which our freedom operates. Frankl was absolutely clear that there is a category of suffering that is not only unavoidable but cannot and should not be avoided. To try to escape what is genuinely fated is not courage but evasion. And evasion, in his framework, is existentially costly, because it deprives us of the opportunity to exercise what he called attitudinal values, the values expressed in the stance we take toward unavoidable suffering. He distinguished carefully between suffering that can be changed and suffering that cannot. Logotherapy is often misread as teaching that all suffering has meaning, that everything is somehow for the best. This is not what Frankl said. He was clear that if suffering can be alleviated, it should be. There is no virtue in unnecessary pain, and the logotherapist who refuses to help a patient change what can be changed has badly misunderstood the framework. But when suffering is genuinely unavoidable, when the diagnosis is terminal, when the loss is irreversible, when the injustice cannot be corrected, the question of fate becomes pressing. And here Frankl's answer is simultaneously demanding and liberating. The meaning available in this situation is not the meaning of the suffering itself, but the meaning of the attitude you bring to it. How you bear what you cannot change is itself a form of self-expression, a form of value, a form of testimony. Frankl saw in the concentration camps the most extreme possible test of this principle. The fate of the prisoners, their physical suffering, the deaths of those they loved, the humiliation and deprivation, was utterly imposed. No amount of will, cleverness, or courage could change it. And yet, within that completely constrained existence, he observed people making choices that seemed to him among the most profoundly human he had ever witnessed. A person sharing their last crust of bread. A woman finding beauty in a tree visible through a prison window. A man choosing to enter the gas chamber with a prayer on his lips rather than a curse. These were not superhuman acts. They were, Frankl insisted, the ordinary expression of something that every human being carries, the capacity to choose a response to what fate delivers. This capacity cannot be taken away, even when everything else can. The relationship between fate and freedom, in Frankl's framework, is not a tension but a partnership. Freedom only exists in the context of fate. It is the form that dignity takes when circumstances conspire against it. And fate only acquires its full meaning when freedom responds to it. When a person meets what they cannot change with courage, with integrity, with something that says, "This is how I face what has been given to me." Subscribe to the Psychology of Viktor Frankl to explore more of his timeless ideas.